This is the Infinite Podcast with me, Ulf Tøndeflittig. This is the Infinite Podcast with me, Ulf Tøndeflittig. I'm doing this episode alone, but me and Rabbe will take you out into the unknown, check out what's there, bring back some words of wisdom, share with you. In this episode, I talk about help. Getting help, giving help, being of help, helping each other out. Yeah, I think it's a good one. Enjoy. To help. To make it easier or possible for someone to do something by offering them one's services or resources. So that's help like a verb. Or as a noun, the action of helping somebody to do something. Or an exclamation, used as an appeal for urgent assistance. For instance, help, I'm drowning. Help. Now, I do feel that we very often think that we can fix and do things by ourselves, alone, without help from others. And I think in my case at least, I would like to prove to everyone that I could do whatever it was by myself. And not getting any help would be a great sense of achievement because I did it all alone, and I would get all the glory and I would get all the fame. No help, in other words. But I guess in later years I've come to see it somewhat differently, and now I'm not that preoccupied with not getting help, or I think, or it feels like I always wanted to help others, but I think, or I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure that I helped others because I wanted them to see how great I was. So my helping was me helping to boost my ego, to feel better about myself, to further advance my notion that I was better than everyone else. I could do things myself, and I could help others who couldn't do things themselves, thus making me the better, the bigger, the faster, the stronger. But I very often felt like I didn't quite do it good enough. Very often it just didn't feel like I could always do better, right? I could have always performed better than I did, and because I did it by myself, the only person who failed me was me. So in any case, I would end up, putting myself down because I didn't perform well enough. And, not having help was great then, because in my mind I was always the culprit anyways, so it was the perfect occasion for me to hand out the blame to the one and only me. So that was good. That was great for a while. It felt horrible, but still, it felt right. It felt like I deserved it. Like, from one perspective, I deserved all the glory, but at the same time, what I really wanted was all the blame for my shortcomings. So that's, I think, is an interesting perspective, at least in my journey. Now, from that point, I think it's safe to say that I feel like I've evolved, for one thing, into acknowledging that getting help from others is not failure. It's actually a victory. Because getting help from others is acknowledging the fact that this is a team effort. You're not supposed to do this thing all by yourself. We're doing this together. Now, let's say for the sake of argument that you were supposed to do this all by yourself. Wouldn't you be the only person on this planet, all alone, surviving in the wilderness, maybe with like a cool pocket knife or duct tape or maybe some string? I don't know. But you're not alone. There's like billions of us. It's a whole bunch of us, and it's safe to say that this is not something that we're going to do all by ourselves. And reaching out a hand, both to get help and also to help one another, is actually the way forward. Denying help and not giving help will actually push us further apart. And I think that's important to remember, and I think we need constant reminding, because our egoic mind tends to view this as a competition. Like way back when, like I was referring to earlier in this talk, when I thought that I didn't need any help, it was because I was convinced that I was only my egoic mind. And, then everything was a contest. And I wanted to win that contest. I wanted to be the best of the best of the best. Even though I secretly felt like I was the only one falling through, coming up short. But now that I see that I am a part of everything, and that everything is a part of me, I can't fail. And also, lending a hand, or having people lend you a hand, is actually beneficial for all parties involved. It does not necessarily mean that you have to give away all your money or give up your possessions, or like, it's not that type of help I'm talking about. It's being there for one another. It's supporting each other, helping each other. It might obviously be financially. I'm not saying you shouldn't give money to beggars or to people in a tough financial situation, but we can also go deeper than that. Like, we all need help acknowledging who we are, and we all need help remembering our position in this grand play of life, because we tend to forget. Like, we tend to forget all the time. I forget. And you get caught up in all these everyday challenges, and then you see it as a contest again, and you want to prove to everyone that you're the greatest dishwasher that ever lived. The best parent ever. The best colleague. The one at work who could fix everything and didn't need help from anyone. Helping feels good. Getting help feels good. And the reason why is because you're helping yourself. When you're helping others, you're helping yourself. Both because you are raising the general joy level of those close to you whom you're helping, but also because you have to remember this. They are you. And if you walk around treating other people like you treat yourself, that's gonna make all the difference. Now, it is important to remember that if you treat yourself like shit, yes, I know I've done that 1,000,000 times over for eons, but we don't really have to do that anymore. because we're good enough, and getting help is not failing, it's winning. It's the other way around. And we all need to help each other, and more importantly, we need to help ourselves remember. And when we see other people helping us or helping each other, that's part of that remembering. That's part of that general feeling of grace, of wellness, of making the world a better place. Now, I think help is a powerful word. Well, especially if you're drowning, I guess. And you know, when it feels like you're drowning in all of life's debacle and worries and troubles, actually calling out for help might be a really good idea. Because if you keep everything bottled up inside, and I know I did that for a really long time, and it gave me a lot of internal suffering, walking around blaming myself and not telling anyone I was struggling with just about anything. So actually it's a powerful word, and to be used properly, and not obviously like crying wolf all the time, but when you need help, actually relaying that information to your surroundings will make things easier for you. Because what's become quite apparent to me recently is that everyone around you is there to help you out. They're not obstacles in your life. They're not some enemies trying to make you fail. They're there to help you succeed. We're all here to help each other succeed. And most of all, we're here to help ourselves succeed. We need all the help we can get, because it requires a whole amount of faith in ourselves, in each other, if we're going to be able to break the cycle that we're sort of, I think, just by the fact that we're acknowledging that it's there, we're starting to break it. Because we've been playing this solo game for quite a while now. But this is not a single person sport. This is a team effort. And we need to help each other if we're going to succeed in playing this game. We're not playing Monopoly where there is one winner and the rest are sore losers. We're playing the game of life, where everyone's a winner the moment we all pitch in together, join our forces. Yeah. Not sabotaging each other, not trying to win over one another, but helping each other out. And it starts with you. It always has, and it always will start with you. Nobody else but you. You're the one. You can do this. And you need to start by helping yourself, making conscious decisions about how to make your life better, thus making the world better by helping others, by supporting each other. I think that's really important. And it's gonna make all the difference. Now I'm trying to recall a story of times when I didn't ask for help, but there's so many of them. Because I wanted to, like I said in the beginning, I wanted to do things by myself. Like, for instance, when I was gonna buy my first apartment, it was so important for me to do that on my own. I didn't want to borrow money from family. I had to borrow some money from the bank, of course, because apartments in Oslo were back then was expensive and now are even more expensive. But I wanted to be self-made. I wanted to make it without any help, and it felt great. It felt good because secretly I felt like I was better than all my friends or colleagues who needed help from their parents to buy their first apartment. But it actually made me feel a lot worse inside because they're me. And by comparing myself to them and thinking that I'm either better or worse than them, that's just putting giant obstacles in my way, because that's not what this is about at all. It's a team effort, remember? But so I had the apartment, and then I refurbished the apartment and tried to do that all by myself. I did ask for help by some friends, but ideally I wanted to make it all alone, which was a struggle, because making like decisions on how to put up a drywall or like things that I'd never done before can be really hard. And if I'd asked friends with experience for help, that would have been so much easier than just insisting that I wanted to do it by myself. And so later on in life, when I bought several apartments and houses after that, well, just one house. And also those times I managed to do it without any help from anyone else. And at that point I also had a partner, my wonderful wife, and because my apartment sale went better than hers, I could sort of help her out. So that made me feel real good, which again, what did that really benefit anyone other than my ego? Because it was me and her, it didn't matter. I think to some extent I acknowledged that at the time, but I also wanted to, get that good feeling of being better than the rest. But then we bought the house that we're living in now, and we wanted to extend the house. But now the situation had changed, because that was super, super duper expensive, and I didn't have the funds to do that at that time. So I had to ask for help. And at first, I was reluctant to ask for financial aid. But at the same time, I realized that it's that this is not what it is about. We're here to help each other out, and once I managed to penetrate that barrier for myself, I could actually ask some relatives about whether they could help me, and some could help me and some couldn't, but just by putting myself out there and admitting that I couldn't do this on my own, I became more vulnerable, but I became more real, and it was so much more a growing experience and so much more profound to see that we can help each other out if we dare ask. And we managed to extend the house, and I managed to pay the money back. And it's sort of like a give and take, but we do tend to like see a contest and everything, I think, and that just doesn't work that well for us, because It isn't. It never was. It never will be. Because trying to compete against yourself, like obviously competing against yourself when like trying to beat your running laps record, it's not a bad thing at all. But trying to compete against yourself in the form of trying to beat your fellow humans, that's not gonna get you anywhere. Ever. Because we're in this together. And now I've been working for many years as a editor in film and television, and I've made my income that way, but at the same time, parallel to my like getting aware that there is a soul, that where consciousness is what we're made of and all of that, I sort of wanted to do different things than the editing. I wanted to make this podcast. I wanted to make the TV show that me and Rabba are making right now. And interestingly enough, we're back at this point where it's actually quite empowering to dare ask others for help. To put ourselves out there and say, we want to make this show, and if you want to help us, that would be great. Because people want to help people. That's what we're here for, to help each other out. So we're making the show, and we set up the Patreon, and if you, dear listener, wanna help us out, make the show, the Wake Up Show, an even more awesome show than it is currently. Obviously, we made 5 episodes, and it's been a challenge, to say the least, because technically it's hard to live edit and host a show at the same time. But we're learning. And you know what? We're asking friends for help. We're asking colleagues to help out with the technical stuff. And that's how we improve, and that's how we get better. It's not a solo, it's a choir. It's not just a trumpet, it's an entire symphony, it's an orchestra. And we're all playing our part. But everyone is equally important because we're doing this together. And if we listen to each other, and if we dare tell each other when we need help, and we listen, and we stop getting in our own way, this will be a very fun journey, and it already is in a sense, because we're past the point of no return, I guess. I'm sitting here all alone talking about help on a podcast that you're listening to. That's pretty great. I do enjoy that. So, yeah. Lend a hand. Let people lend you a hand. Don't be afraid to tell people that you need help. No matter what. Just saying things out loud is actually quite magical, because that's what makes things real in this weird reality we call life. And there is no contest. We've already won. We're all at the party. We're all winners. The only way we lose is by trying to win over each other. And we don't have to do that anymore. We're fine. It's all good. And if you want to support the talk show, patreon.com/thewakeupshow. That's what's up. Now look at me, begging for money on a free podcast. Who'd have thought? The game of life. Enjoy. You've listened to the Infinite Podcast with me, Ulf Tønder-Flittig. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify, and also check out our brand new talk show, The Wake Up Show, on Facebook and on YouTube, The Wake Up Show. And if you want to support our show, go to patreon.com/thewakeupshow. Your support really makes a difference, and we're gonna make the greatest show ever. Thank you, and thank you for listening.